Good morning, everybody. It's Brian Caprice, and I'll be hosting our Monday morning market breakdown this week. Um, Good week. I just wanted to get into it. I'm really excited about trading this week. Last week and the last couple weeks really have been somewhat stale. Low news releases, really low movement. Like everybody was paralyzed. But Friday morning last week, European traders finally said enough is enough, and the markets went crazy. We had lots of movement and a lot of different pairs. So very excited to see if we can continue that into this week. And it's actually a week full of news, which I like. If you guys know about me, I love news trading. And again, very excited about it. So for those of you that have been with me for a few weeks, again, voice is still a little bit funky. We had 3 lacrosse games this weekend, 2 victories, 1 loss. Voices, it'll probably go in and out again. Monday morning, 1 coffee, 1 cough drop. We're good to go. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Bryan. I'm an instructor at Major League Trading and also the co-founder of Major League Forex. I've been trading for a while, basically since the tech bubble. I know that makes me sound old. I developed a number of different strategies meant for traders that have limited amounts of time. As you can see, I have twin boys that are 8. I have a baby girl who's 10 months old, and at 10 months, she's teething and crawls now, so she's into everything. And I'm her primary caregiver at home. I wasn't around for my kids, my boys, because I was traveling so much, but I wanted to make sure I was around for the baby. So I'm her primary caregiver. So for me, it made sense to create something that people can still trade, but do other things as well. Created something called the 30-minute trader program, as well as a 5-minute binary course that are particular towards Nadex. I do trade multiple asset classes. I did come from the advisory division of one of the big 3 banks, so really learn kind of what happens on the inside, and I guess actually what doesn't happen on the inside. And that really changed my focus from trying to do it for other people to help teach people, and that's kind of where I became an educator from. As I said before, 8-year-old twin boys, I coach lacrosse for them on 3 different teams, and the little one is already, one of our best cheerleaders. She's picking balls up, and she'll probably be playing lacrosse by the time she's 2. So, but again, I apologize if my voice goes in and out. Now, with that being said, let me jump into a Nadex risk disclaimer before we start anything. Understand that trading on Nadex involves financial risk and may not be appropriate for all investors. The information presented here today will be for information and education purposes only and should not be considered an offer or solicitation to buy or sell any financial instrument on Nadex or elsewhere. Remember, any trading decision that you make is solely your responsibility. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results, and Nadex contracts are based on the underlying asset classes, including Forex, predominantly what we're going to be talking about today, stock index futures, commodity futures, and economic events. Now, trading can be volatile, and investors risk losing their investment on any given transaction. However, and this is very, very important, understand this, the design of Nadex contracts ensures that investors cannot lose more than the cost to enter the transaction. Yes, I said that. Whatever the cost was to get in is the most that you can lose on that position. It's not like futures or Forex or stock where you can get a margin call. Very, very important. One of the biggest perks of Nadex, okay? Especially if you're new to trading. Now, Nadex is subject to U.S. regulatory oversight by the CFTC, and that's also very important to understand. A lot of times people hear binaries and they're like, oh, are they regulated? Yep, absolutely. CFTC regulated. Nadex is the one, the only, and the best, in my opinion. All right? So with that, let's jump in. I want to make sure I get you guys as much information. So as always, we're going to do our top 3 news events. This one was very, very hard this week. There's a very, very close 4th in here, but I always like to do the 1, 2, 3. 8:30 on Thursday morning, we kind of have a dual news release. And by that, I mean we have U.S. retail sales. We actually have U.S. core retail sales as well. And then we have CAD core retail sales. So U.S. CAD will be an interesting currency pair to watch that morning. You'll also be able to trade that with dollar yen or with euro dollar or pound dollar, obviously for the news release. But again, whenever you have those dual news releases, that's one that actually can give us some good movement. You could probably expect anywhere from, I'd say, 40 to 60 pips most likely in that one. So 2 to 3 daily Nadex strike prices in the dollar CAD. So definitely some potential there, if there is a news miss. On Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, you have the Aussie employment change. Now, the Aussie has been a hidden gem lately. These nighttime releases for them, there's not a lot of traders, there's not a lot of volatility, but these have been good for 40, 50 pips as well. And there's some interesting ways to play those with, different, there's spreads, there's the smaller binaries. But it's something that a lot of people overlook. They think, okay, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., that's it. The trading day's over. I'm finished. I'm punching my clock and I'm out. And the Aussie has been just really great to trade at night. If you guys are not trading this at night, you may say, hey, listen, Brian, I'm an index trader. I don't know anything about currencies. Guess what? A chart is a chart is a chart. Okay? Do yourself a favor. Log in at 9 p.m. on Wednesday night. Look at the charts for the Aussie dollar on whatever charting platform you're using or use Nadex charting, and just watch the movement if you've never traded it. The Aussie, if this is a miss, will tend to move, a substantial amount in a very short period of time. So it's a great opportunity if you're not watching it. And then number 3 is CAD CPI. Okay, anytime we mention CPI and you have an eye in any of these things with inflation, inflation means interest rates. Okay, obviously interest rates and inflation are different, but what happens is interest rates are used to curb and kind of control inflation. Okay, when you start seeing CPI, particularly in the environment we're in right now, I mean, there's talks that the U.S. is going to start cutting again, which is absolutely crazy in my mind, but they're talking about it. Again, but it puts a lot over the Canadian dollar as well. Okay, we're the leader in a lot of these things. Now, number 4, I'll go over it in a second. Actually, let's just pull it down right now. If you guys are unfamiliar with Daily FX, do yourself a favor. Go over there, dailyfx.com. Go over to the third menu, drop down here. Go to Economic Calendar. Okay, on Economic Calendar, what I would do is make sure that first your time zone is changed correctly. Make sure you are where you are. I'm in the New York, Toronto time zone. Do your filter, drop the lows out, otherwise you will have too many, and I'd also drop Mexican peso out. You don't need that one. Leave China in because China news will affect the New Zealand dollar as well as the Aussie dollar, okay? Leave those through. So I also click on weekly view. It's just easiest if you guys are unfamiliar with it. All right, so Monday, you guys can see that really nothing crazy here. Tuesday is where we start getting some of the bigger news releases, okay? We have economic, especially, okay, so if you guys aren't familiar with Germany, Germany is one of the powerhouses in the European economy. Whenever we start talking about expectations in Germany, that is something to watch out for, and that's going to be at 5 a.m., okay, on Tuesday morning. Actually, you know what? Let me just drop this. We'll leave it this one just to make sure. You'll see a whole bunch of Chinese news. Again, this would be New Zealand plays, which we don't really necessarily do with Nadex. Wednesday, okay? Here's where you're going to start getting some of the early pound news, okay? Consumer price confidence right here. This guy right here, okay? This is what I was talking about as being the close fourth, okay? The Bank of England's Carney is going to speak, okay? Now, this is big for a number of reasons. One, again, nothing is really truly decided with Brexit. France is really mad at them. They said, give us basically get out. They're reigniting the English and French war back, again. They're not happy with this whole situation, but anything that, mentions the word Brexit or how they're going to exit or when they're going to exit could potentially be a firework in any of the pound pairs, okay? In this case, this one could be a big euro pound trade. But again, it could be pound dollar or even, probably most likely going to be a pound yen trade. 3 potential setups that you can look for. Okay, but again, this could have the potential to be some big fireworks if anything is really, anything concrete is given at this point, or any kind of idea of the direction that they're going in. And again, that's why it's a close. I'd say it's like 3.5 on the top 3, right? It's really, really close. Going further, again, here's the Aussie unemployment and unemployment rates. Again, those numbers, they're not huge, but again, when they're not big, it doesn't take much for them to be a pretty big miss percentage-wise, and that's where we see the big movement. Okay, going into Thursday, we start to see some Bank of England again, and then this is where all the retail sales jumps in, right? We see retail sales advance, yada yada yada, and you guys can see initial jobless claims. I mean, there's all this, 8:30 news, a lot of stuff going on. Then 9:45, some other things, and then some business inventories. And these mediums aren't as big as the 2 highs here. Again, back to Japan. Now Friday, really nothing, right? Friday is basically, housing starts, building permits. This is not really going to move the market too much. You're going into a holiday weekend as well, so I wouldn't expect Friday to be a huge mover this week. I'd basically just, consider basically Thursday is it for us. Friday will kind of just dwindle and just blah, go nowhere. All right. So that's what I'm looking for the week as far as news goes. Let's go ahead and jump into charts. Okay. All right. So what I do is I run through the different currency pairs that are associated with Nadex or are able to be traded on Nadex. Obviously, there's more out there. I know that, guys. People are like, well, what about these other pairs? I'm purely trying to focus on Nadex pairs when we do these sessions. So firstly, we're going to start with the Aussie yen. Okay. Aussie yen has finally broken through a sell zone. Okay. What we've been looking for, and again, we've been talking about this for basically months now. We've had this upper area of sellers, and we've bounced it off at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then finally at number 6, we broke out of the top. Okay. Now, as you can see, it's been a nice little break, and we've had a little bit of a retrace. There is a little bit of an area. You guys will see this single wick right here against kind of another candle. This is a little bit of a pullback, right? And again, typically when we see pullbacks, we see impulse, correction, and then impulse. So we are kind of an impulse move, although it is running into a little bit of a level up top. And again, I think what's happening is we're waiting for US traders to come online before we really get this direction. But this is monumental that we were able to break this zone, okay? Now, a lot of times what we see is these prior sell zones become buy zones. This price bursts through the top, comes back and retests the zone, and then that becomes the takeoff, kind of the springboard to go higher, okay? So right now, although it is not, I mean, it's really kind of right there. It did pull back. It is kind of sitting there. There wasn't really a clean break out the top. We are kind of at the top of this zone looking for, somewhat of a kind of a takeoff point. And again, we are seeing a retrace. This is, we saw this kind of big movement. And again, lower time frame halting. So what I would do is keep on my radar looking for, kind of a continuation pattern above. Look for a break above 80.50. Again, that's a round number or a half number. So we're definitely looking for that for potential breaks. Right now, I would definitely be out of the bearish mindset with this one. I'm probably more bullish, but again, looking for a confirmation to the top side. If this just does go sideways and really kind of flat lines like we saw here, or kind of just this little kind of meandering sideways with no real candle colors, this will be one on Wednesday that we definitely have some spikes. For that 9:30 Wednesday trade at the employment change, this is the pair to trade that in because the yen will be also trading and be the weaker kind of the weak pair you want to trade against. Of the two, I typically prefer to trade Aussie yen versus Aussie dollar. So this would be the guy to look for. All right. Let's jump down into that other one. Let's go look at Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar, again, this one has been kind of stuck and we're seeing kind of mirrors. And when I say mirrors, I mean we saw one candle go up, open next candle, boom, it dropped back down again, came over, went right back up and stopped. Okay, so it's just kind of mirroring itself in its candles. Its up day gets wiped out by a down day, and then its up day goes right back again. And again, we're kind of seeing that go back and forth. Now, one thing I am looking for, and I'm very, if you guys have ever watched me speak before, I get very, very excited about these. It's what we call racetracks, okay? A racetrack is when candles go parabolic. They go 2 and 3 times what their average movement in that time period is. And a lot of times you see retracements, right? You see a large movement, really, really big spike up, a retrace. Big spikes up, and we're looking for retraces. Big spike down, a retraces up, okay? 30-minute, you can see right here, this thing just took off, right? And now it's basing. And a lot of times what you'll see, especially in currencies, is when you have these big kind of news-based explosions, you see the retraces come back down again. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somewhat of a retrace. Now, it is kind of in no man's land, right? I mean, we had this large kind of crazy spike candle here, and price hasn't come back to it yet. We have a great sell zone here with descending candles, a level on top of a level of sellers. It hasn't cleared this piece here, but again, we're below here or above here. We're kind of smashed in the middle, right? And we're just kind of bouncing back and forth. But what that is on the daily is it's trending, right? We are kind of in an uptrend. If you guys want to draw channels, you can draw a channel up, and we can start looking for breaks of these channels, okay? When we're talking about this, we have kind of this area here, and we kind of have this right here. Okay, it's a channel and it's just bouncing between the top and bottom of the channel, and we're right in the middle of it right now. So obviously nothing right now. Let's let the US traders get into this one. We'll see where this one goes, and again, position ourselves correctly. Areas I am looking at, the 71.30 down here. You guys will see this price drop based and then exploded. Definitely mark this one off. If you're familiar with kind of collapsing patterns, again, there's about, let's see what, about 35 pips in here. This is one of those ones you could trade 2 hours on it, and the 2 hours during the intraday are much. The strike prices are not as far. You're talking about having the strike prices be basically 4 pips apart. Again, within a 2-hour period, the ATR is 5.3 on the 30-minute. So these have the potential to move according to the ATR about 20 pips, and the strike prices are about 4 apart. Okay, that's why I like to do the 2 hours during the day. All right. Again, no setup. We're smack in the middle of a channel. We got to figure out where it's going to go. All right, next pair. Let's drop down to Euro Pound. So Euro Pound, this is one we were kind of looking for a signal, and we had this upper area of selling, and we wanted to see if it go a little bit higher. And this kind of yellow line, this 86.50, was really our kind of line in the sand. If we were able to get to there, we wanted to be triggered to the downside. And we were able to hit that. And that's actually the bottom of this green candle right here. It's the bottom of this body of this kind of spike up into the sell area. And it's having problems, right? It's kind of bounced off of it once. It came back again. And now we're starting to see kind of, patterns to the downside. In the 30-minute, you guys can see we kind of pushed down into this little basing area, right? It hit this basing area, went back up, ran into this, and now it's starting to collapse down again. So big question is, if we continue this, pressure to the downside, the pound strength and the euro weakness, will some of this basing hold again? Okay. Big areas I'm looking for in this one is this about 86, right? 86 is right here, okay, on the 4-hour, just slightly above this buying zone. I'm looking for price to retrace back down. It's got a little bit to cut through, but I think with any pound strength this week, I think we will start to kind of pull back down. For me, the 85-ish area down here has been a very, very strong area. You see we've bounced 1, 2, and this one didn't even make it that far. So for me, we're on the upper range here. We're in the upper 30% of the sell area, this red bar, or the buy area below. So I am a little bit more bearish biased on this one. And again, looking for continuations to the downside. Really, this one has really been news driven. It's Brexit, and then Brexit again. So I really think that Wednesday we will have movement if it takes that long to get there. But there is definitely some pound news. If you're a West Coaster, you can definitely trade pound news at the European Open. East Coasters, for us, it's a little bit harder because that would be 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning. But if you are a West Coaster, it's something you look at. If you're anywhere overseas, again, something that you can take advantage of. Dropping down to Euro Yen. So Euro Yen is one of those finicky pairs. It either does nothing or it explodes, right? Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello. I don't know if you guys can see me or not. Hello, hello. Okay, so it looks like you guys can hear me again, but the screen share is stuck. You guys can't see anything moving around. But what I was saying about this pair, as customer support reassigns me. So Euro Yen is one of those pairs that it does nothing, and you guys can see in the chart up here, right? It bases for a while, and then it explodes. You can see it exploded down, used 4 or 5 candles to go back up again, exploded back down again, based, and then kind of went slowly, and then popped again. So where it popped is up in this 126.633 range. And again, that's where we are right now. Since we have hit this sell area, okay, we're in an area right now where we've seen prior selling, and now we've seen basing, and we've had a couple failures to go higher. Now, if you guys look on the top, on the right-hand side, you will see that it's a 30-minute chart, and you'll see we've really been stuck in a range between 126.70 to 126.50, kind of a 20-pip range, right? Now, this pair has about an 80, what is it? About 70-pip ATR for the day, so it does have the potential to move. Now, I believe that ATR is very misleading because there are days where it does nothing and then it explodes 200 pips. So for me, what I'm looking for on this one is a potential sell setup. And again, this could be news driven. It could be, there's a lot of different things that could happen with this one. Let me see. I think you guys are stuck on this one. I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of different things, but for me, I'm looking at this one. I'm looking for potential sell signals. I'm looking for U.S. traders to get in because the U.S. traders will help move the Euro Yen pair. All right. I'm going to jump to the next one. I don't know if you guys will be able to see this or not. Let's go down to the Euro Dollar. So the Euro Dollar, obviously, very, very busy pair. If you guys can see this, you guys will be able to see we are once again in a 4-hour sell zone. Okay, we've been here before. We pushed back down again. We went down to a level where we had buyers previously. Okay. Now we've pushed back up into the zone, and it's kind of a little bit of a battle right now. Okay. These are the pairs that are a little bit difficult because we have obviously uptrend and we have a confirmation of an uptrend. Then we drop to a lower time frame and we have sideways downtrend, and then the lowest time frame is showing us that we are in a sideways downtrend as well. So whenever you have mixed signals, particularly when the upper time frame doesn't match the lower two, you need to make sure that you're a little bit careful. And the reason why you want to do that is because typically, I mean, obviously, the lower time frames are going to tell you of a trend change before the upper time frames will. All right. So for me in this one, again, I'm looking for some news. I'm looking to see what happens when U.S. traders come online. Right now, European is running loose. It's not the wild, wild west. There's only one person there, right? When the U.S. traders get in, then there'll start to be a battle, and there'll be a little bit of an overlap, and we'll be able to see where people want to push the dollar today. And we'll get some, U.S. market news and things like that. Right now, this one needs to, again, I'm waiting for some true movement, some true dedication to I'm going to go up or I'm going to go down, and we just don't have that yet, okay? So for me, I'm going to kind of pass on this guy for a little while. Going down to the pound yen, okay? Pound yen, we're not quite up into a sell zone, okay? Right now, price is around the 146.72 area. Problem is we have a sell zone at 147. It's held previously twice. The last time price got up there, it just grazed the very, very bottom of it. So for me, it's got to be able to break through this top side. Now, on the bottom side, the buying area is going to be around 144. Okay, this kind of 144 to 147 area, this 300 pip range, has really been the top and bottom in a sideways channel. And a lot of this has also been kind of based off of Brexit. Okay, again, with that Wednesday morning talk, when the BOE speaks, I believe that will give us a bit of a catalyst to give us another one of these large spikes. Now, this one has 135 pip ATR. Days ago, it was up to 150. And you'll see it's been very much like the euro yen, where there'll be days where it's small and then it explodes. And unfortunately, this pair has been somewhat paralyzed in its movement, particularly on the daily. Now, on the lower time frames, you will see, and again, it's kind of interesting how this works out, but on the lower time frames, you'll see a bit more movement, like a 4-hour. So if you're looking to trade this one, right now, I wouldn't quite say that this one is in a swing traders type wheelhouse. This is definitely much more in a smaller time frame, only because being in that sideways channel, there are days where the candles bodies are very, very tiny. But you're seeing, top to bottom, you're seeing 80, 90, sometimes 100 pips, top to bottom. On the daily, all it is 2 wicks and kind of a dash of red or green. But you are getting sideways channels up and down, okay? Now, the nice thing about this pair is you do have a bunch of different options to trade it. You do have the 2 hours, and the 2 hours are actually pretty attractive. The 2-hour spreads on this one or the spread differential is only 10 pips, okay? So it's not very large. In a 30-minute, right, in a 30-minute ATR, this one, it's 12.6. So you can actually move 4 times what the actual spreads are. So it does give you a lot of kind of potential for movement when it's there, right? This one is called the the Widowmaker or the Beast for good reason. During the the daily strike, they are 20 pips apart. So again, there is kind of an advantage on this one. You'll have 20 pip strike differentials in the other currency pairs, but yet this one moves the most, and this one still has the 20 pip strike differential. So again, nice position to swing trade. It'll give you a lot of movement. Again, you can see at 135 pips, you're talking about what, 5 or 6 strikes down or up or down, and potential in one day. So a lot of potential in this one. We are kind of at the, I'd say, more upper end of the range. Looking at the 4-hour, we are definitely on the upper side of kind of where the curve would be. We're closer to a sell. We have about 150 pips to the downside, right? No setup right now. Again, we are kind of, Monday morning kind of sideways doldrum right now. All right. Dropping it down one level more, let's go to the pound dollar. So, oops, wrong one. All right, there we go, loaded. All right, so pound dollar is very, very similar to what we have in the euro dollar. We are smack dead in the middle between the daily buy and sell zones, okay? It is consolidating. We're seeing lower highs and we are seeing just slightly higher lows, which again is a signal that it hasn't figured out where it wants to go yet, okay? Dropping down to the 4-hour, again, it's much easier to see the higher lows, and we're kind of based there. So we kind of have, again, kind of opposite kind of consolidation patterns. Looking on the 30-minute, it's kind of back and forth right now. It's a lot of wicks, nothing clear, nothing concise. Again, very similar kind of setup to what we're looking for in the euro dollar. We need U.S. traders to come online and really get in there and throw the weight around and let us know what direction it wants to move in. Typically, when I have something like this, that's literally, really at the 50% kind of area between buyers and sellers on the daily, I will typically look for other opportunities that are higher quality, and that's kind of what I'm going to do with this one. Dropping down to dollar CAD, I mentioned dollar CAD could be a big trader this week. Dollar CAD has also been kind of back and forth. Dollar CAD's definitely had some basing. It's at the lower range. It's in a bit of a setup, and right now it's in a little bit of a conflicting situation because on the daily we have an uptrend setup, right? We had an uptrend, and we have red candles painting right now, pulling back. It is pulling back into an area where we've seen previous buying, which is always a great thing, all right? Now, on the 4-hour time frame right now, we are in the kind of the same situation. It is pulled all the way back, right? It is in an area where we've previously seen buyers back in the kind of 133.15 area, right? And we're kind of basic. I mean, again, it's Sunday or Monday morning. We really haven't seen anything sideways. Both these economies are coming online in hour and a half. We're going to start to see some movement. So for me, I'm definitely more on the on the bullish side of this one because we are in buying areas. We have one area at 133.16 and then another one down at 132.97, or right at 133. So kind of having that little backstop is kind of a nice little advantage. Also in the 30-minute, if you guys are looking at the 30-minute charts for the dollar CAD, you will see that we have a bit of a racetrack going from the 133.70 all the way down to the 133.36. Okay, so about a 50 pip down on that one. Okay. Jumping across now to, let's see, dollar Swiss. Okay. Dollar Swiss, again, this is a pair that's typically associated with geopolitical events. When there's anything that is really unexpected or can hurt, anything globally, this is the flight to safety. We are up in a sell zone, right? We came back up, we dropped, and we've had a little bit of a pullback right now. No real clear, again, this is a pair that really doesn't move a ton. It is a 41 pip ATR. It's honestly not my favorite pair just because the movement is not necessarily there, but just be aware that we are in a sell zone for this one. Anytime, you see anything that's geopolitically based, this is where this one will start moving. Otherwise, it's just a grinder. Dropping down to the last pair, dollar yen. So dollar yen has finally breached its first of its two sell zones, right? This one has gone up to the higher level. Right now, we are looking at kind of a very strong sell zone at 112.20, and we're getting pretty close to it. We're within about 20 pips. Unfortunately, on the 4-hour, we're kind of seeing lower highs and lower lows being formed, right? It looks like it's setting up for a bit of a retracement. Friday was a good day in this pair. We definitely had some movement. Actually, Thursday into Friday, great movement. I mean, this thing just finally exploded. It went where we wanted to go. Again, now we're starting to look for a retrace back to the downside. Okay, we are in a sell zone. It bounced off a buy zone. All the indicators are there. Again, look for U.S. news, even something minor, and then also track the stock market on this one. Obviously, this one tends to mirror that one as well. This one is definitely one that will be affected by anything with inflation-based. The retail sales will definitely move it, and really across the board, any of the news this week, we'll see movement. Okay. All right. So with that being said, that is the end of the chart this morning. We'll get you out of here a little bit early. For those of you, again, if I apologize for any of the technical issues today, it wasn't updating on my machine. Hopefully you guys were able to see it. If you do have questions, you're able to join us over on Discord. Go to majorleagueforex.com, or if you're using the Discord program, you can look for my personal information. It's MLFX space Bryan number 1495, and that's a direct message. And I can get you added to our chat room over there, and you can ask questions and interact with our students. All right. With that being said, guys, have a good Monday, have a good trading week, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks so much.